Today is panel day. The guest chef is David Lee.
David Lee's kind of intimidating.
Honestly, you have no idea.
He has very demanding standards.
It's a lot of pressure.
I hated stew when I was a little girl.
My mother makes a mean fucking stew.
It was kind of like, oh, stew again? Fuck.
Stop screwing around.
Who do you think you are?
Stop fucking around.
I don't really care what David Lee says about my dish.
Stop being the fucking clown of the class.
I don't need some smart-ass chef coming in and telling me that I can't cook.
This is your time to shine, you're gonna be just fine. It's your time and I. Look how far you come, open your eyes. This is your time tonight, it turned out alright. You don't have to fight tonight. Look how far you come, open your eyes. Look how far you come, open your eyes.
Previously on Chef School.
A year ago was my last day that I drank and used alcohol and drugs.
Do you think Allison's put on weight since chef school?
I wonder what they're saying behind my back.
I don't know, maybe if I felt her up, I could tell you.
This just looked absolutely amazing.
I don't have it in me for another recovery.
I don't think I'm ever really going to be able to be myself in the kitchen.
Joyce is interested in deflecting blame. I'm interested in improving.
Welcome to the cutthroat world of the kitchen.
Stratford is a very desolate, depressing place in the middle of winter.
Stratford is getting harder and harder to be in.
It's just miserable.
It snows and snows and snows, and then when you think it's all stopped, it snows a little more.
Everyone's sick as dogs.
Often what happens about midpoint in the curriculum is that students get the flu or they'll get very bad colds.
I'm so tired of being sick. I have like a billion multivitamins, nose spray and everything.
I've been sick for 2 weeks. It sucks.
And there's a bit of a malaise that goes around in the class.
We've been dealing with stress upon stress upon stress.
Sometimes I just want to lock the door.
Crawl into a hole.
Just be alone for a couple days.
Bury myself and not come out.
I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be in school. I hate assignments and homework and blah.
I feel like I'm struggling. More than usual, way more than usual.
Richard is two people packed into one. He's the person that he used to be, and he's the person that we all know and love, and that he is convinced himself is the real him.
I've been clean sober for going on a year and 4 months now. And even still, my addiction's very much alive in me. And I can't ignore that.
Oh man, I told you it's gonna be a long day.
You know Richard, I mean, he doesn't say what's on his mind often.
I remember when this whole thing started, he had a hard time with it. I can only imagine how hard it is to keep that under control under these circumstances.
My habitual reaction is to say, fuck it, you know, to go get, you know, fucked up. But then that doesn't solve anything.
He's really good at covering up things that are going on with him.
And that's what's always got me in trouble in the past. Closing down and thinking that things were okay. But I'll admit it, they're not. You know, I'll admit it. They're not okay.
Good morning, students. Good morning, Chef. How are you today? Fine. Looks like we had a bit of snow last night in sunny Stratford. So, today's class will be spent on stewing.
Stewing.
To stew as a verb is to simmer in a closed vessel.
As a noun, it is the resulting dish. The mixture of the ingredients in a thick and opaque sauce.
Casts a veil of uncertainty over the proportions of expensive ingredients
to cheap ones.
Coming into today's class, the first thing I thought of was how much I hated stew when I was a little girl.
For me, stewing is one of my favorite methods of cooking.
It's not something I really have good memories of.
I hated stew. Sorry, Mom.
It was kind of like, oh, stew again? Fuck.
Because it brings into play so many skills.
Well, I find a lot of like the curries that my mom made, basically it's just stewing.
It's just not a meal.
I mean, my favorite thing in the world is like goat curry.
It's barely food.
It's either disgusting or great.
Today is panel day. The guest chef is David Lee. He's one of Canada's premier chefs.
He has very demanding standards.
It's a lot of pressure.
He reaches high in his own work.
He expects perfection.
Just the focus and the kind of in very razor-sharp acuity.
I'm just curious who this guy is.
Hello,
Hey,
David.
Neil.
How are you? It's lovely to see you again.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna stick my nose in where it shouldn't be.
David Lee's kind of intimidating.
I can only be nervous.
It's enough to just make you want to jump out of your skin.
Allie and I are making boeuf bourguignon. Today, we're using short ribs, which is like the super fatty, bony, and rich like cut of meat.
She loves meat and more meat and fat and meat.
I mean, all that fat on the meat and the red wine and the stock and the herbs and the vegetables, like this boeuf bourguignon is gonna be so good.
What's tough about it would be building layers of flavor in the sauce and in the stew itself.
Actually, there's not as much fat on this one as on the other one. It's all right, they'll leave a bit of it on still. Yeah.
Not overcooking the meat so that it's tender and falls off the bone. Proper seasoning. It's all around a tough dish.
After reading the recipe last night and researching where stew comes from and why I'm making this dish, you know, I'm really excited.
Everyone's browning their meat. There's just like this sound in the room.
This is not this boring dish that my mother always made. It is like traveling, learning about food. It takes you somewhere else. It takes you to another world.
Like the sound and smell of browning meat, like it's primal.
And Mac, what's your favorite food?
David Lee cares about two things.
Anything that I picked out of my own garden.
The passion for what you're doing.
What did you have for lunch yesterday?
I had a beef tenderloin sandwich with some roast garlic aioli, walnut, blueberry salad with blueberry vinaigrette, with blueberries I grew myself.
And knowing what it is that you're trying to do.
That's fantastic. That's what I love to hear.
Everyone you work for, every place you work for, every person you meet, you can learn something different from.
What would you say your favorite food is?
Favorite food today, or like
No,
in general?
Today. In general.
Actually, spätzle.
It's like, what can I get from David Lee? What can I use from him for myself, you know?
Were you born in Switzerland?
Yes. I moved here when I was 10 years old.
When you were 10 years old? That's fantastic.
If they don't have the hunger to learn, I think they're not suited for the industry.
Good, good, good. And when are you going to come to Toronto?
Come to Toronto? Hopefully after we win this thing, eh?
You know, it's absolutely fundamental.
What's your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? Well, I wrote a report on pumpkins.
You need to respect food to be here.
Can you pick something?
Can I pick something off the top of my head?
Apart from pumpkins.
Not this.
To not know what you like and what you like about food, food is the biggest part of cooking.
Eating my favorite food, Jesus Christ.
Makes you wonder if they're here for the right reason.
I have so many different things going on in my head right now. And I've never been one to say, look, I need a hand, I need some help.
What's the best marriage with lamb?
Rosemary.
And what?
Thyme?
No.
Garlic.
My man.
Right. But today, making this stew, maybe I do need a hand. And I don't want to ask.
When you get out there in the, I'm going to say in the real world, okay, and cooking now, whatever you do, don't always follow the recipes. You know what? Okay. Sometimes you have to follow your heart, right?
It's really comforting to say follow your heart, because it's not easy.
This is not a simple dish. This blanquette de veau is one of the war horses of French cuisine. Books have been written about this dish alone.
I think our strategy should just be work. Don't talk, just work.
Mushrooms, onions, veal, and this beautiful sauce.
And if we do that, we'll kick ass. We'll win.
I mean, seems simple, but my goodness, it's difficult.
These classes are all 3 hours to make a dish that's, 15 minutes of chopping stuff up to go in a pot, and
takes forever.
And you find that
2 hours of turning of a mushroom.
It took you like 45 minutes.
But do you find that funny?
I find it hard to get used to.
It bothers me when people talk to me like I have no clue.
Because I've been working in kitchens forever, and it's just like I have 3 minutes to make a dish, and now I have 3 hours, and it's like, oh.
But when you
so we do all the prep and everything.
When you see it in a different way, that you would want to perfect it, so you have a huge advantage.
I don't know him well enough to actually care that much about his opinion.
I'm thinking about opening a restaurant as soon as I get out of school, just for the experience, expecting it to fail. Just not putting, too much into it, just a little tester restaurant.
I have no idea what he could be thinking to say something like that.
Sorry, you wanna open a restaurant?
There's a restaurant in town for sale for $33,000.
We butt heads quite a bit.
And it would be worth the $33,000 just to have that kind of education, that experience.
I don't understand, Dave.
But do you have any idea what it costs to run a restaurant?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot more than buying the restaurant.
How about taxes?
Staffing.
Yeah. Honestly, you have no idea.
But that's who David Lingard is. It's who are they to tell me, sort of thing.
This is the judge right here.
This is life. This is something.
All right. Well, you just wrote off the one for today.
Go finish the dish.
Fucking speechless.
So, panel, the first group to put up is Joyce and Allison.
It's kind of scary thinking about becoming a chef when you see someone like David Lee.
It's an honor to be here.
Just knowing that it's going to take so much work to get there. Such hard work to be at that level.
We searched long and hard for the most tender pieces of meat in our stew pot, which I have to say was kind of hard, but I think we found some pretty good ones.
We have a couple issues with our dish.
And this is beef bourguignon.
I think mostly having to do with some of the fat that was left on the meat.
I'm getting my hopes up at this point.
I think this dish has promise. I think the flavor is built up quite nicely.
I found this sauce a little stodgy. I find this a little bit troubling here on the meat, this big piece of fat and gristle.
That was my fault.
That, were I to take it off the bone and eat it, would not be very, very tasty.
But I would have wanted it that way.
Okay, panel, the next student is Richard.
Looks like shit. Looks like hell.
One comment that I would have right off top, before even tasting this, is that this dish seems very monochromatic. Certainly, people taste with their eyes even before they do with their mouth or their nose.
Kind of embarrassed about it.
Richard, if I were to receive this, I wouldn't be happy, okay? And I'm gonna be honest with you. First of all, the meat is not cooked enough, okay? And not a little bit, but quite a bit, okay?
One thing I've found with this little piece of lamb is it's just not trimmed carefully enough.
It kind of made me angry. I may have made a dish that looks like hell.
So there's quite a bit of sort of gristle to it. This is really off-putting.
But it made me more kind of hungry to achieve what I want.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
No, I appreciate your honesty.
One more with Jack. And here we have Navern Printanier.
If I were to put one criticism, I would say just always be careful on the pepper, the amount of pepper that you put in. Personally, I find it uncomfortable, okay?
This is the lamb pickle.
What is this on top of it?
It's missing a little bit of salt. I think the sauce itself has some nice depth to it, though.
Okay, and the next dish of the day is done by Ben and Matthew.
The stew tastes great, and I know it tastes great because I've eaten a lot of stew in my life.
Okay, and here we have beef burgundy.
Beef bourguignon.
And my mother makes a mean fucking stew.
sauce in itself, you see the plate, obviously it's white, okay? But I shouldn't see the bottom of the plate.
It just makes you feel like you've got so much more to do and learn.
It should be nice, it should be dark.
And many years of hard work.
But the sauce, you know, you have a nice gloss on it, and the bacon tasted great, okay, whatever you did to it there. You guys worked very well as a team. You worked clean, as you would in a professional kitchen.
Ben and Matt, they are like the dream team.
Thank you very much.
Good job, guys.
So the next group putting up is Alex and David.
I don't really care what David Lee says about my dish now. I don't want to hear shit from anybody.
You guys happy with this dish?
Enjoy, David Lee, enjoy.
You guys happy with this dish?
No.
No?
It could be better.
In what ways?
But just, there's just little minor things with it. First, like, the meat maybe a little more tender.
Maybe? It is or it isn't?
Like, who do you think you are?
I actually didn't mind the meat. I don't think the seasoning is exactly spot on.
I think the seasoning.
It's a lot of little things. Everything is slightly off. Nothing was done perfectly in this.
Why do you think that is?
I don't need some smart-ass chef thinking that he's God because he's got a successful restaurant coming in and telling me that I can't cook.
Teamwork.
Teamwork? Okay. I have 30 employees at Splendido. Every single person on my team, we focus towards one direction. That is pleasing the guest. Okay?
That's not constructive criticism. That's not helping anyone. That's just being a jackass.
If you do not work as a team, you're never gonna succeed, you're never gonna win. Stop screwing around, stop fucking around, stop being the fucking clown of the class, okay? And you will be great chefs. You will be great chefs, okay? Because you're very, very lucky to be here.
These chefs, they're all known chefs, and they've all done things to establish names for themselves, but it doesn't make them God.
You know, you said that there are a lot of little things that are wrong with it. In my opinion, a lot of little things wrong in one dish add up to one big wrong. The point of your career that you're at right now, you need to be a sponge and assume basically that you know nothing in order to absorb as much as you possibly can. Especially in a kitchen of this caliber with a chef meals background, you are in a position to make great leaps forward personally as cooks if you are open to both criticism and new ideas. If you walk into a place sort of thinking that you already know it all, then there really is no point for you to be there in the first place, okay?
I know I can come off as like a complete dick sometimes, but I don't want to be labeled as a clown because this guy can shut his mouth in front of like a respectable chef / person. Like, goddamn.
I like Dave, and I wish him success, but at the same time, he's not going to get there by total fuckery and just goofing around.
What Chef and Eleanor and I hope to illustrate more than anything is that it's not only the final product that matters, it's also how you get there, and it's the process. You know, David watched you guys and the way that you work, because the way that you work says as much about you as the way that your food tastes.
Okay, so the prizes today, you will come to Splendido and stage there for the day. The winner of today's panel is Ben and Matthew.
It's exciting because that's the type of restaurant I'm looking to work in.
It's a breath of fresh air right now.
That's where I'm trying to go, and that's what I'm trying to get to.
Thank you, Chef.
This is a shit week. I'm pissed off. Stay the fuck out of my way.
So much of David is bravado.
I don't know why, he's too scared to admit that, something might be hard for him to do, or he might not know how to do something.
It is sad. I don't really know how to deal with that.
I mean, Dave's a great guy, but where's he gonna go?
next time on Chef School.
We expect more knowledge, more wisdom.
This morning we're going to do a little flour arranging exercise.
Squash couscous.
They're trying to Stratfordify us.
Change who you are and mold you.
This is kind of get it or get out.
I thoroughly understand these dishes. I don't understand you.
I mean, if you can't be humbled by Chef Baxter, like, what are you here for?
There's been a change and I can feel it.